What's going on, Draft League fans? My name is Arahpthos, and welcome to your Week 3 Power Rankings for PMC Season 4. Unfortunately, my co-host MewsTheBest is unable to join me, so I'm having to do this once again by myself, but I managed to pull it off last week, at least by my own standards, so he's hoping that I can follow through and do a good enough job this week. So, that out of the way, let's go into my number 16 and Mew's number 9, the Tampa Bay Frogadiers. Now, it feels a little harsh to drop Verd this far, however, I think that since he has forfeited 2 weeks in a row now and has since left the league, that we can't really rank Verd above anyone else who has done their best to play out their games. While Mew does seem to rank him much higher because he did still have that really standout week 1 performance, I still don't feel comfortable with putting him above anyone else who has actually been putting in the effort to play their games. Now, I don't know the reason as to why Verd had forfeited his games, if there's personal reasons, and he has tried to put in the effort. I'm not trying to diminish his commitment to the league whatsoever. It's just more of the fact that he hasn't done anything to put himself above the rest simply because he hasn't played his games. So that's why I have Verd at number 16. So at both our number 15s, we have Sharpino and the Sydney Krookodiles. So Sharp instantly, turn 1, scouted for a Scarf Darmanitan by leaving Chandelure in against it. Now, Chandelure is one of the best things that he prepared to actually deal with the Mega Scizor, and to put it within Bullet Punch range turn 1 wasn't really a smart idea. Mandibuzz still could have potentially taken a Flare Blitz and been able to roost up, but Arki going for a Flare Blitz at turn 1 against potential Flash Fire Pokemon wasn't really a smart play to be making, and so I think that switching into Mandibuzz was just generally a good idea. It can U-turn out, whatever. I just think that was a much smarter plan than to leave in Chandelure. He played a little passively around the Umbreon, setting up substitutes with Magnezone. I think that he could have brought in the Mega Gardevoir and really pressured Arki's team. He didn't really have a lot to switch into the Mega Gardevoir, but Sharp didn't pack the Hidden Power Fire, though, to threaten the Mega Scizor switch, so that is kind of what it is. The crit on Mandibuzz from the Tapu Fini did suck because, judging from damage calcs, I don't know the exact kind of Tapu Fini that ArkiKnight was running. It definitely wasn't offensive given the damage that it did to the Kyurem Black, but the crit did matter. However, he really shouldn't have stayed in with the Mandibuzz on the Tapu Fini. He didn't know that the Tapu Fini wasn't offensive, so he really couldn't have risked that. He did sack Kyurem when he had a perfectly good Mega Gardevoir that could have broken the Tapu Fini after that critical hit. The Fini did lose its leftovers, so I think Sharp should have considered that rather than just sacking off the Kyurem Black. The Kyurem Black could handle a Scarf Rotom-Mow in the back, which, as he showed in his commentary, he did not expect a second Scarf, but the second Scarf came anyway, so there is that. Overall, I think that throughout this game, Sharp just lost a lot of his answers to different things on Arki's team, and ended up just being really pressured by the Mega Scizor and the Scarf Rotom Cut. The Metagross Ice Punch play at the end, he was very upset that he didn't go for that he went for the Earthquake over it, and while I do agree that there was no way that Arki was staying in, taking the superpower damage, and then potentially losing out, it was a safer win, netted him more differential guaranteed just by U-turning out. The only way that he was OHKOing the Rotom was by getting a critical hit, and or the only other way that he could have won the game was by getting the freeze. Now, both of those things could have happened, and he should have absolutely gone for them, but I don't think that he should be too cut up about not getting that play right. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Sharpino. At my number 14 and Mews number 16, we have Johnny GB and the Oregon Duckletts. Phantombass's team just proved to be a little too fat for Johnny to be able to break. He did make a really good play in scarfing the Blissey by tricking it from Gengar, but the lack of ice resistance that he ended up with his team just really cut through him. He lost Cobali on turn 2 by switching it into a pretty safe Earthquake on... no, it was a pretty safe Earthquake for Phantombass to go for. The flinch on Meloetta turn 1 was a little bad, but yeah, sacking Cobalion wasn't really the best play that he could make. Letting the Salamence get a Dragon Dance off just really sealed up the game at the end. The Thunder Punch had a 50% chance to Oko with a critical hit. I'm just assuming that he's running Jolly Max Speed, Max Attack here. Had a 50% chance to Oko and a 10% chance to Paralyze, so I think that would have been a smarter play than going for the bulk up. But again, it was just kind of a shaky situation at the end that he just really needed to go for hacks to win it all. And yeah, the prep wasn't too bad. It was just more the playing of losing his only ice answer. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Johnny. I can see why he was put down at number 16, but I think that Sharp's playing was kind of equal. I think that they're interchangeable. But anyway. At my number 13 and Mews number 14, we have LuckyLadTV and the New Orleans Night Daze. Now, Lucky really didn't show off too much strength last week, and this week he played the Verd, and so he ended up with a win because of a forfeit. And I don't think that that's really warrants him being moved up or down in any way whatsoever. So he remains at the same for the both of us for these past 2 weeks. So yeah, at number 12, we both have Grounded Gliscor and the Lowland Nidoqueens. Now, I didn't get to see this game because I don't think that the replay exists anywhere. There's no recording on Hera's channel, there's no recording for it on Grounded Gliscor's channel, so unfortunately we don't actually get to see how the game plays out, but we do know that he lost 6-0. And a 6-0 is a pretty crushing loss. So that's why we've bumped him down from 9th last week down to 12th this week. I don't actually know if the replay exists. I haven't been able to see it anywhere, so I haven't been able to see it with my own 2 eyes, but yeah, getting 6-0 just really isn't ideal for the rankings. But yeah. Moving on, at my number 11 and at Mews number 13, we have Mego and the Hamilton Torracats. Now, Mego bluffed the Scarf on the Terrakion really, really well. He had Iceolate, just absolutely thinking that the Terrakion was 100% Scarfed. So when it turned out to be Rindo Berry and Rock Polish, that really could have turned out different had Mego been able to break the Gliscor. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to break the Gliscor. Iceolate just managed to play around that Drapion very, very well and keep his Gliscor nice and safe, switching it in on a knockoff and a poison jab only when the thing carried Ice Fang, and every single time they went for Ice Fang, he didn't connect it on the Gliscor because the Gliscor never came in, which was really smart playing on Isolate's side. The prep wasn't awful. The Terrakion was prepped well, and it was played rather well. It was just, I think that Iceolate just managed to outplay Mego just that little bit. So, it does go down due to losing the game, but I don't think that he played bad at any point during that game. But that's just me. At both our number 10s, we have ArkiKnight and the San Antonio Victreebels. Now, Arki dropped out of the league, and then he rejoined when Dpad dropped out, and he inherited Dpad's team. So, Arki did not drop 5 places. Dpad jumped up 6. And, yeah. He did squander the Darmanitan by switching it into an analytic hidden power fire. And just letting it get chipped all over. He went for the U-turn when Darmanitan could have gotten a pretty easy wish passed into it, but instead he U-turned out, and that wish from Umbreon just got completely forgotten. So that's a little unfortunate. He did play the rest of the game okay, and was just able to pick up different things, such as the Meta Buzz, because Sharp just allowed him to. Sharp just stayed in with a lot of things, and again, squandered the Kyurem Black. I don't think that Arki played fantastically. It was just more of being able to pick up things that Sharp just let fall by the wayside. But overall, that was able to net him a win. The dual Scarfers was really nice. The Scarf Rotom Mo just really cleaned up the game very nicely, even though Scizor could have taken out the Chandelure by that point with Bullet Punch. Yeah, so Arki pretty much just needed to attack what was right in front of him, and he went alright by doing that. So at my number 9 and the MewsTheBest number 8, we have Grimsby Town Grimers. Now, Blue Rogue was going alright in this match. He was doing what he needed to win, and right when it came down to taking out the Mimikyu, Togekiss whiffed its air slash. And that's really unfortunate. The misses do happen, but it was really unfortunate for that miss to happen then. His prep wasn't terrible. The only thing that could really be said for it would be that he brought Spiritomb over the Mega Lopunny. Now, Mega Lopunny could have had a poor matchup, which is why he did bring Spiritomb over it, but for the team that Omega V did end up bringing, the Mega Lopunny would have done a lot more work than the Spiritomb ever did. So, unfortunately, because he lost, Blue Rogue goes down to number 9, even though that before that point he really did have a good time. He could have avoided sacking off the Togekiss by switching into the Tyranitar on the Shadow Sneak and prayed for a bit of a miss on himself, but if the miss didn't happen by that point, the damage was done, and yeah, Blue Rogue still ended up losing because a Scarfentei in the back would have been able to just run through the team. Blue Rogue really needed the sand to have Excadrill clutch out the end of the game, and he wasn't able to have that. So, unfortunate loss, but it's still a loss. So, Blue Rogue, last season's champion, down on the number 9 slot. That is what it is. Anyway, at my number 8 and Mew's number 11, we have the Buffalo Drills coached by Shady Mexican. Now, he could have played a lot better than he did, in my opinion. It was unfortunate that he did lose the Reuniclus, lost full use of the Reuniclus, turn 2 when it was Trick Choice Scarf by Rotom Wash. But there was still a lot of chances to bring the game back. The Poison Jab predicting the Clefable switch in from Sneasel was a really good play, And it was followed up by a really bad play of going for an Icicle Crash. And Icicle Crash really did piss all damage to whatever could have come in, and that the Poison Jab would have been just as good because it could clutch out and get a poison on whatever could have come in. Because by that point, I believe by that point, Potato Jim had a Torkoal, he had a Tyranitar, he had the Clefable, and he had a Latias. The Latias was really the only thing that could have come in and been taken out by that Icicle Crash. However, Sneasel outspeeds Latias, and although the Latias hadn't proven itself to be not Scarf, I don't think that the ultimate play would have been to go for an Icicle Crash there. I think going for a Poison Jab and letting Toxic do its work would have been a lot smarter of a play. He also left Sylveon in when it was outsped by a Clefable and encored into Calm Mind. Clefable has a magical ability we know as Unaware. And what Unaware does is mean that Calm Mind has absolutely no effect. The Moonblast will still do the exact same amount of damage because the stat boosts are completely ignored. He left the Sylveon in, just staying in, going for Calm Minds, forever being encored into Calm Minds. The only way that would work out is if, for whatever reason, Potato Jim were to switch out the Clefable and go out into something like Venusaur and try and set up alongside it when it wasn't really the smartest of plays. Thankfully, that is exactly what happened, and so he didn't lose the Sylveon for absolutely nothing, or at least wasn't forced out of the Sylveon. So that was pretty nice, but to stay in to begin with is very, very questionable of a play, which, if that's the reason why MewsTheBest has Shady Mexican down at number 11, I can totally agree with that. But because of Arky's playing in previous weeks, I think that Potato Jim's misplays in this game are sort of cancelled out by Arky's previous record. So there is that. So at both our number 7s, we have Phantombass and the New York Cosmog. Phantombass did something that Levine did last week in bringing the exact same set 2 weeks in a row for no real reason. Phantombass brought the Magearna with an air balloon and with like Trick Room and whatever. Now, the thing about that Magearna is that the air balloon doesn't really help it out in this game. What's his name? Johnny's two ground types both have a way to hit Magearna while it's on an air balloon for a huge amount of damage. The Zygarde has 1,000 Arrows, which not only breaks the air balloon, but also hits for super effective because it's not a flying type. The Magearna's not a flying type. The Nidoqueen also gets a Sheer Force boosted Flamethrower, and Magearna can't really take out the Nidoqueen before the Nidoqueen takes out the Magearna. So having Air Balloon on there is a very much so squandered item, and he should have had better prep in that regards. But outside of his prep, he did play rather well. He brought a lot of ice coverage that he needed, and he also was able to take out the Cobalion turn 2 of the game. So he didn't need to worry about anything switching into an ice move. The Dragon Dance at the end of the game versus the Thundurus was a really good play because an expert belted Hidden Power Ice from a mixed Thundurus had a chance to not KO the Salamence, and so that's nice. He could set up the Dragon Dance and then outspeed the next turn. Also a really good play that also another good play that Johnny could have gone for, which he did actually go for, was a bulk up with the Thundurus, which would then take the Z Outrage and, well, had the chance to take the Z Outrage. It became a roll, and would then be able to threaten the Salamence after that. So yeah, the Dragon Dance did in fact guarantee Tyler that win, and it was a very smart play, and so I do think that Tyler did play this game rather well despite having a little bit questionable prep. I think he may have been pressed for time by using the same Magearna twice, or maybe he just grabbed the wrong Magearna when it came to the battle. I'm not sure about that, but that is what ended up happening. So yeah, good job to Tyler this week. He played very well. Moving on to our number 6s, we have Heracrossnite and the SL Banefica. So, similarly to Gliscor, Heracrossnite did not upload anything, and he did not have a replay saved. But he did get a 6-0, which bumps him up. A 6-0 is always a commanding victory, like it is a devastating loss. So that's why we both have Hera at the number 6 slot, despite not being able to see that battle. It is unfortunate that we weren't able to see that battle. I would have quite liked to watch a 6-0 happen, but, you know, sometimes you just can't. Yeah, so at my number 5 and MewsTheBest number 4, we have Mastodon and the Mastodon Gastrodons. Masto had a really close loss this week. He did play against Jake and the Virginia Tech Froakies. He didn't really have that good of a team matchup. He did have a Kebia Berry on the Tapu Bulu, which really... He did have a Kebia Berry on the Tapu Bulu, which did come in handy. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to pick up the KO after that was procced, which led to Jake's victory, but that simply is what it is. Yeah, he did score a crit on the Crobat as it switched in within the last few turns, which could have procced the Kebia Berry early, or could have whipped the KO with a... Or it could have whipped a KO with a Brave Bird, which would have then allowed Masto to switch in the Nihiligo and maybe pull out a win from there. Unfortunately, that isn't what happened, and that's all Theorymon, and that's just Theorymon coming at me directly from Mastodon, so who knows what could have happened if that crit didn't happen, but it is what it is. It was still a very, very close game, and that's why I didn't drop Mastodon that far. I only dropped him down to 5th, but again, a close game doesn't mean a one game, so that's why you drop down to 5th, Masto. Get good. At my number 4 and MewsTheBest number 5, we have the team name that I've been dreading throughout the entirety of coming up to this video. We have Potato Jim and the Pinnacob Ramblers FC. I think it's supposed to be Punko or Pinnaco. I don't know how that mon is supposed to be pronounced, but anyway. We'll just call him Potato Jim. Potato Jim and the Potato Jim Ramblers FC. Have a name like Mastodon, please. Now, his play this week, which puts him down at the number 4 slot to me as opposed to the number 3 slot, comes on the same thing as to what I harped on against Shady Mexican and the Buffalo Drills about, which was he didn't stay in with the Clefable when it outsped the Sylveon and was unaware. He squandered the Venusaur very, very hard, which took the game down to a lot closer than it needed to be. The Venusaur could have come in and not get spored by the Amoonguss and beat that mon down. However, that is not what happened. Potato Jim switched out the Clefable, which had that Sylveon absolutely locked down, so that way he could set up a couple of growths with the Venusaur. I don't think that that was a smart play in the slightest. I think that it was a very, very poor play. However, he did end up winning the game. The Tyranitar was EV'd to live a Brick Break from Mega Charizard X, which is absolutely golden. but that's more a testament to Megatita's natural bulk. He was able to not so much confidently win the game, but he put himself in a really, really good position to win the game. It did come down to a first turn wake from the Torkoal, when it really could have stayed asleep for the 2 turns and been knocked out by the 3rd Sludge Bomb. So having the game come down to RNG, I don't think is overly fantastic, but outside of that, he did play absolutely fantastically. I'm harping on the things that he did wrong, but he did play rather well outside of those 2 events. Torkoal being positive is a massive feat in itself, and well done to you, Potato Jim. But yeah, I've said all I really need to say on him. And for our number 3, we have Iceolate and the Great Lake Greninjas. Iceolate made some really, really good plays. He played phenomenally around the Drapion, staying in with Porygon 2 when there was a pretty good chance of a knockoff coming off. So that way Gliscor didn't take an Ice Fang. I know that he didn't expect the Ice Fang to be there, but it was still a very, very good play. Then switching out into Tapu Koko to avoid getting knocked off, while he did go for another Ice Fang, it is what it is. And then Volt switching into the Gliscor, so that way Gliscor could come in and take out the Drapion, was absolutely beautifully done. So that way it wouldn't take the Ice Fang, it would take the Poison Jab instead. It was just very, very well done. He kept Gliscor at a very good amount of health, so that way, in the event that it wasn't Scarf, the Terrakion was not able to break his team. It was still fine so long as he kept Gliscor at a good enough amount of health. It came down to, at the end, that a critical hit from Stone Edge would not have knocked out the Gliscor. So he had a 100% win sealed up at the end, and I just think that this was a very, very well played game on Isolate's part, and that's why he deserves our number 3 spot. At number 2, we have Omega V and the Colorado Rapidash. The prep for Omega V was a tad weird. Going for Z Bulk Up over Swords Dance, I think, is a mistake. While he does get the +1 defense, Blue Rogue's team that he could set up on... The main thing that he used it against was a Togekiss, and Togekiss is known for not being a physical attacker despite having Hustle as an ability. So it would have been a lot more beneficial to him to have run Swords Dance over Bulk Up and then used the Z move to guarantee KOs on things. If he was something, say, Farium Z, he could have knocked out the Togekiss after a Swords Dance with the Twinkle Tackle, and then gone for a play rough into the Tyranitar to knock that out and go from there. Yeah, the miss on the Air Slash is really what put him in a commanding position to win the game, although it had the Air Slash not missed, he still had a slight chance to pull it back, but the miss happened, which made the game a hell of a lot easier for him. He is still 3-0 and has had some pretty convincing wins up to this point, so I can't really dump him down below number 2, but he hasn't had as good of convincing wins to not put him in the number 1 slot. And speaking of segues into the number 1 slot, we have Jake and the Virginia Tech Froakies. He just continues to be a total lord at this game. While Mastodon was his closest round, bringing it down to a 1-0 victory, if I remember correctly. Yeah, bringing it down to a 1-0 victory was a feat in itself for Mastodon, and it was a very well played game on both parts. The critical hit onto the Crobat from Tapu Bulu did very much so suck. However, if the Tapu Bulu went for a roost, if the Crobat went for a roost on the Tapu Bulu could still keep it low despite the Crobat now getting grassy terrain recovery. But yeah, overall, it was a very well played game by both, and an especially well played game by Jake. So, congratulations to Jake for getting the Virginia Tech Froakies to the top of the power rankings for 3 weeks. For 3 weeks running. So, congratulations to our number 1 spot. And now to close it out, if anyone in this league, once again, if you feel like that your skill is not being represented, then I suggest taking your games a lot slower. You do have 80 No, you don't have 80. You have 90 seconds to think about your turns and to calc things and to form a game plan and adapt your game plan as it goes along. So I think the biggest thing that people should be taking away is that it's not a rush to beat the game. While you can make the games while you can win your games a lot faster by bringing offense and things like that, it's still a nice idea to sit back and think about every possibility and what your best play is in order to put yourself further ahead. So, yeah. Hopefully next week I will have MewsTheBest joining me to co-commentate, so that way it isn't as awkward for me to fill the air and try and think of different things to say about each different team. So, yeah. I hope you guys all have a good week. I'll see you again for the Week 4 Power Rankings coming up. Should be this coming Friday, if you're watching this at the time this is released. And if you're watching it a week after it's released, then the Week 4 rankings should already be up. And if not, I'm sorry. So yeah, happy battling to the coaches of the league, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.